Welcome everyone. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Please stand with us. I will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance we'll be led in prayer first by Alderman Gallagher. Then please remain standing. We'll be led in the pledge by Alderman Kelly.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the chance to meet here once again, Lord. Lord, we ask for your wisdom, your knowledge, Lord. We ask you to be with us throughout the meeting, Lord. Lord, we ask you to help us love our neighbors as you've loved us, Lord Jesus. These things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda this evening is approval of minutes for the special meeting on May 20th, 2019, and then after that, we'll hit the regular meeting on May 21.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the special meeting of May 20th, 2019, with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman Page?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Now is there a motion for the May 21 meeting?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 21st, with any additions, deletions, or corrections. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman Page?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda, resolution to declare city holidays in July. This will be for Thursday, July 4 and Friday, July 5. Both have been declared holidays by the Mississippi Governor, Phil Bryant.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the resolution of the Mayor Board of Aldermen, City of Southaven, declaring municipal holidays of July 4th and 5th. That's approved by the Governor.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman Page?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is swearing in of Amory Ewing Moore as Assistant Municipal Prosecutor. Please come forward. Thank you. Yeah, right here. Give me my glasses. I think I can make it. How are you? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I,
I,
in your name,
Amory Moore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Mississippi,
and the Constitution of the State of Mississippi,
and obey the laws thereof,
and obey the laws thereof,
that I am not disqualified
and that I am not disqualified
from holding the office of Assistant Municipal Prosecutor,
from holding the office of Assistant Municipal Prosecutor,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. But I'm not disqualified. That always trips me out.
We can't find the city Bible, they said, so I thought we could borrow Tony Farice's.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know you do. Thank you so much.
Okay, next on the agenda is a request to apply for grant funding in our Southaven Fire Department. Chief Scallions.
Good evening. This request is for the fire department to write for a FEMA grant. It's a Department of Homeland Security $10,000 grant, which the city would use, or the department would use to purchase rescue equipment and also personal protective equipment for our personnel. This is a non-matching grant, so there would be no funds needed to match from the city.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Next on the agenda is a resolution for our MML voting delegates. I guess we need to declare one and then have an alternate?
One alternate, yes, sir.
Okay.
I nominate Charlie.
You can do that, Charlie?
Yeah, I dodged it last year, so I guess I'll do it.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to nominate Alderman Hoots as our voting delegate, by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
You gotta name the alternate.
Got to name an alternate.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do one at a time, doesn't matter.
Well, you got them just in the resolution, have them vote, so,
On Alderman Payne.
Alternate, motion for Alderman Payne, motion made by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Any discussion? Any discussion, Alderman Payne?
Don't comment.
Okay, what I thought. Okay, no more discussion, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda, we have a resolution to surplus the firearm of Chief Purnell. And before Chief Purnell, before we vote on that, I just want to say a few comments about Chief. Chief's given us 36 and a half years of service. He's announced his retirement effective June 15. 36 and a half years of loyal service to the city of Southaven. He's held many positions throughout the police department, held the chief position since January of 16. And just personally, my comments about him, when we have someone that retires, which we've had few that have had this much service, but I always try to put something in there, not just your typical mayor, excuse me, but just the same old rhetoric. I always try to relate something that is relevant to my relationship with them. Chief Purnell has been a huge asset for me, having the police chief early in my career, and I want to thank him for that. But my personal experience with him is he's one of the most unselfish and hardest working people I've ever known. And I don't just say that because, we're in a board meeting and this is the last one. I mean, this guy is like when you work with him every day, I mean, he works his tail off. I mean, he and I have talked at all hours of the night. We talked early in the morning when we've had issues that have come up over the years, and this guy is just never off work. I mean, he's just there. He works his tail off, and I just want everybody to recognize that. Everybody knows that he's been here a long time, but I want people to know that he didn't just put the uniform on and let the years go by. This guy is passionate about his career and about the city, and he truly cared, and he worked his tail off. So many times I asked him for help, and he told me one time, and it wasn't about me, it was about when he held the role as deputy chief. He said that he felt like whenever the chief called him, that whatever was his priority at that time or that day then got dropped to second. And he would always drop what he's doing and attend to what the chief asked him to do immediately. Well, when he told me that, he was talking about a former police chief, but I noticed during the last 3 years, or actually the whole 6 years when he was deputy chief as well, he did the same thing for me. Like when I contacted him, he had many things going on at any given time, but whatever he was doing, he dropped that and made what I call about his number one priority. And he delivered solutions, not just to get by. He delivered a solution with detail at all times. But he played a key role. There's no doubt the last 36 and a half years have been key years for our, well, it's been before, or right after we, became incorporated, but he played such a key role in making our police department and the city what it is today, and there's no doubt about it. We got big shoes to fill, and we're gonna miss him a lot. But Chief, I want you to know that I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your outstanding service to the city, and I just ask, may God bless you and all your future endeavors, whatever that may be. Can we give him a stand up? So at this point, we're going to ask for a motion for surplus of Chief Hurdle's firearm.
I'll make that.
Second.
We got a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Next on the agenda is Deputy Chief's not here. Is Deputy Chief with us? Okay. Deputy Chief Anderson, again, at a later time, there'll be more comments. Outstanding career by Deputy Chief Anderson, and we're going to request the same thing this evening, resolution of the surplus of his firearm.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is a resolution for surplus of property in our Information Technology and Emergency Communications Department.
It's just a surplus.
Mr. Mayor, move that we declare surplus property in the IT Emergency Services Department.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for a lease donation to the House of Grace. Mr. Nick Manley.
This is just a donation for the House of Grace for the Snowden House under your authority for 21-1965. I've talked to Wes, and the Park Department recommends the donation. It's consistent with our policy of the Mississippi Code. So tonight, authorization for the mayor to sign the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, make sure we fix the date.
Okay.
It's 2016.
Typed on my bad. I think it's the 19th.
We just note that in a minute. So.
It was the minutes more correct.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the resolution granting authority to clean private property as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion with anyone in the audience that has a financial interest with any of the properties? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for environmental assessment in support of a preferred build alternative for the proposed Nell Road Extension Project. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, sir. This is a requirement by MDOT when an environmental assessment's done on one of our road projects. Obviously, we had some questionable areas that may be wetlands in the Nell Road Extension area. So an environmental assessment was required. They have completed it, and MDOT requires that this order is approved by the Board of Aldermen to submit that environmental over to MDOT to finalize the design. It's just a formality.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Michael, can you please help us up here with a little technical problem?
Hit the arrow pointer to the left on the top right. Shoot forward that.
It's in two parts.
Oh, yeah. That's the way I asked it was. Of course it does. So open up one of the pages and then pop that. Wait.
Okay, next, we'll move into our planning agenda.
Yes, we have one item on the planning agenda, and it is a request actually by the City of Southaven to rezone approximately 8 acres of property on the east side of Getwell, north of May Boulevard, from the current zoning of AG to planned commercial, which is C4. First, we look at the comprehensive plan to make sure it's conducive with the future 20-year plan, and it is. That's deemed for commercial or mixed-use property. We also looked at the character of the neighborhood around it. As you well know, to the north, it's already C4. As you go to the south, it's parkland plus the portion of C4. Across the street is Silo Square. So this is somewhat of an infill design. Originally, back in 2016, I believe, we took the front parcels along Getwell Road, which is 2.5 acres, and already rezoned that, as you will see right there in red. We already rezoned that to C4. What you see on the north end with the hatched yellow lines is where an ingress-egress was approved for a future right-of-way road that will actually stub into the additional acres we're looking at here. So the fact that it abides by the comprehensive plan and it matches the character of the surrounding neighborhoods, we are requesting approval to rezone the remaining acreage all the way to Snowden Lane to C4.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Could I ask, you might, the audience wants to speak for the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion first among the board? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is mayor's report. A few things to update everyone on. First of all, we did open the bid for the Snowden Grove pedestrian path. The bid came in as planned. Actually, it was a little bit less than the plan. We just opened this today, by the way. That's why it's not on your. The amount. The amount is $736,685.50. Like I said, that is within the budget. The budget estimate was $750,000. This, as you know, is the 10-foot multi-use trail that'll go throughout Snowden Grove Park, all the way through the tennis center, on Pine Tar Alley, and then back down Snowden Lane by the amphitheater and Sunset Loop. So what I'm asking you today is a motion to accept this bid.
So move.
Second.
We got a motion by Alderman Full.
Who's the, yeah,
J.M. Duncan.
J.M. Duncan
J.M. Duncan.
is the lowest bidder of that amount. We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any other discussion?
Does the motion to approve the contract?
Yeah, we make a motion to accept the low bid with J.M. Duncan in the amount of $700,000, or the amount, and then authorize the mayor to sign any and all contracts.
So moved.
That motion, again, clarified, was made by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. And next, we did get the bids regarding City Hall renovation, and we'll talk about those tonight. Mr. Brian Buller with Urban Art is with us tonight. And if you will, just go through Brian, just run through a summary of what we received, the information that we had planned, what we got, and then what a recommendation is, from this point forward.
Okay. Mayor, Alderman. We received bids, we received 3 bids on May 15th for the City Hall renovations project here. And the low bid was $2,257,000 by Murphy and Sons here from Southaven, which is significantly higher than our budget and what we had expected on this project. So we feel that we're getting some inflated bids at this time. So, and I'll tell you a little bit of why we believe that. We've done some due diligence to find out what's going on. We actually caught wind of a little bit of it going on during bid time, that we couldn't receive any, or that we weren't receiving any interest from roofers. As you know, your annex building needs a new roof, your tower building needs a new roof, and the concept involves taking off the metal roof and putting on a new, or basically capping the flat roof that's up there. So we noticed that we weren't getting much roof interest, but we continued to try to push forward to receive the bids. We asked the contractors to please just be diligent and find as many bidders as you could, qualified bidders for the roof work. At bid time, after bid time, we found out that in fact there was only one roof bid in all of the bids. So we had 3 bids, all of them only received one roof, so one roof bid. So that's not really competitive bidding in our opinion. The numbers that we received from that roofer appear to be pretty inflated to us, as well as the homework that we've been doing with our roofing supplier contacts. We've been checking with them as well. They tend to agree that the numbers look high. And really, the only thing that's going to fix that is competitive bidding, potentially just time. In doing our research to find out what's going on with the roofing community in our marketplace right now, we were told that there's many school re-roofs being done right now, especially in the Memphis market, of which we are a part. And that's basically got most of the roofers just really busy during this summer peak season for re-roofs. So we have talked to them about when would that potentially ease itself. And what we were told is that it would most likely be early fall or into the fall before they're really able to complete their schoolwork and all the jobs at hand, and the market be competitive again. So as I said, we were at $2.25 million. There was a deductive alternate that we had included in the documents that would have put us basically at $2.2 million. Still about $500,000 more than where we initially started with this project. We had budgeted about 1.7, I think you all recall. But I will note to you that from the 1.7, we discovered a couple of things along the process of design that also was included in the design to go ahead and take care of. One being a fairly significant code compliance issue that you have with your corridor system here on the ground floor that really needs to be rectified. We talked with Chief Gentry, we talked with Chief Rowland, and we determined that'd be the best thing to go ahead and correct that now. We think that added about $100,000 to the 1.7 price tag, so we were at 1.8. And then at bid time, Urban Arc also recommended that we include a owner's contingency allowance, as we usually do, for you all to take care of, change orders or things that come up during construction. So we recommended to add another $100,000, not knowing exactly where our bid number was going to come in. So effectively, that put our mines at about a $1.9 million price tag. And as I mentioned, we're sitting at about 2.2. Our research shows us that the roof number alone equates for essentially that $300,000 delta, okay? So at this point in time, I've acknowledged to the mayor that we essentially have three choices. One would be accept a bid that we believe to be inflated, which I don't necessarily think is a good idea. Two would be to rebid the same package that we have at a later date, so essentially wait until like August or September to put this back out when the market has cooled and we have more competitive bidding on the roofing side. Or a third option, which is a little bit more creative, involves separating the roofing scope from the building scope and rebid that in two separate packages, okay? The benefit there is that we could start the building work, we could get this room taken care of, the addition, the new entrance piece and the front, the front lawn and all that taken care of. Get that started a little bit ahead of the roof work, and then the roof work could be bid solely to roofers, because we also were receiving some information from roofing subs that were saying, we don't really want to, if this was just a roofing job, we might bid it, but we're not going to bid to GCs right now. Because they had plenty of work. You got to understand, they had plenty of work going on in their business where they're the boss, and they don't necessarily have to work for under a GC on the project. So a couple of factors that we believe would help us would be to wait, separate the packages, rebid roofing and building separately, stagger those packages just slightly, so that when the building contractor gets to a point where he needs to complete the paint, we're painting the building, when he needs to complete the paint job, essentially the roofing has caught up to him by that time. The roofing is done, he can complete his paint job and get out of here. But I will, let you guys know that there's obviously no guarantee. If we delay and do this, we may come back to the table 3 months from now and be right back where we were if we're not able to get competitive bidding. My firm can reach out and we can do everything we can to try to encourage people to bid, try to educate them on the roofing project itself, to let them know it's not some big scary job, and that they can actually accomplish it. But we can't force them to bid the job. But that's the scenario we're in. I told the mayor my recommendation would be one of the two rebid scenarios, and to try to get ourselves some more competitive bids and come back to the table here in a couple of months and see if that was successful.
And based on that information, when Brian told me that, it would be my recommendation also that we split them up. That way we have a chance to have more competitive bids with roofing contractors. The roofing part of the job is significant. The roofing part of the job is about half of the total job. So, so I think it would be better for us. I just don't have peace, as Brian noted, just having one roofing estimate. It's a large job, very expensive job, so I think it would be best to separate the two and try to bring more roofers in to make sure that we're getting the most competitive bid possible. So timelines, I've updated everyone here in recent board meetings. It's not ideal. We hope that we would have this thing under construction this month, but with that significant amount of money, even though I hate to recommend that, I agree with Brian. I think that it's worth it. Like you said, there's no guarantee that in September, October, we're going to have a better scenario, but I think with that sizable amount of money, I think that we need to take that chance and delay the project. So that's what I would recommend that we all do. And then what that would do is put us bidding everything except the roof in July, and then coming back in August, and about a month later doing the roof with a projected start date, late September, October 1. The risk that we have with that, obviously when you get late in the year, you're dealing with a roof, you're getting into weather issues, but that's just it's not a perfect scenario. I just think that's a risk that we need to try to work with. If we have everything lined up where they can start October 1, it's likely that you would still have some decent weather in October and early November, where we could maybe be able to get it done. But anyway, I just want y'all to be informed, we do take a little bit of risk if we delay. But for that sizable amount of money, I think it's, a worthy thing for us to do.
Nick, does the motion need to include rejecting all current bids?
Yeah, you would, the motion to be reject bids, the current bids for the City Hall renovation, and authorize the bidding of the roof, and authorize the bidding of the City Hall separately. Since you're bidding them both out, you can split it up. That wouldn't be bid splitting in that case, because you're going to bid on both projects. So that'd be your motion.
And there it is. I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion as stated, Alderman Flores.
Second.
We got a second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, who is the current bid by, with that minus the roof?
Murphy and Sons. That included the roof. It was all done as one, so it did include the roof.
How much more expensive was it than we thought?
About $300,000.
There seems to be a lack of roofers in the area.
Yeah, I can't really explain it. We've done a lot of talking, and we even tried to coerce several of the bidders, the roofers, to take a shot at it, and, to no avail. Once it came time for the roof, really the roofer that gave us the initial information on his experience with this roof, and because it's a roofer that has experience actually here, so we leaned on them to garner information from them about how to re-roof it. They were still interested in doing the job, but kind of, half-hearted. We even with them, we were like, don't back out on us, you gotta give us a bid. We were concerned at one point in time we may have 0 bidders on the roof.
On the issue you mentioned earlier, there's evidently a lot of roofing work going on in the Memphis City. Is it Memphis City or Shelby County?
It's Memphis City, and that's the word we got, was Memphis City schools, or basically just the Memphis market. So we haven't validated exactly what all jobs. We did hear a lot of school jobs are being, because their push is always in the summer, get it done before the kids get back to school, so that makes sense.
But it equates to about a 50% higher than what we had estimated, just for the roof.
Yeah. I will acknowledge that we also gathered some pretty good information in just talking with them, where we think we can make a couple of moves in this rebid process, some slight value engineering moves that will net us better, probably better numbers regardless. As long as we get a bidder to roof it, a roofer to bid it, we should at least receive a better number for some design decisions and moves that we can make at this point in time. So I don't think it will be fruitless. We got to get those roofers, to give us a shot and bid this project.
Is there any other discussion?
Thank you, Brian.
So we would be going to bid on the roof, getting the actual bids on the roof.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be 2 jobs.
Bid the building in July, build the roof in August.
That's right. If we bid the roof, if we put out the roof package in August and receive bids at, let's say, the 1st of September, and give them about a month to mobilize, order all their materials and be ready to go, essentially October 1st, we believe that should be adequate enough time for them to get the job done in the clear of winter weather.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we're going to vote on rejecting the other bids. Roll call, please.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your help.
But you want to?
We're gonna make the motion.
You want to go ahead and make a motion to bid?
Sure, we can. Yeah, we got a little time. Why don't we go ahead and do that? So, motion to bid as stated, go to bid for the, everything except the roof in July, and then bid on the roof in August. So we do it all in one?
Yeah.
Is there a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Alderman Flores.
Second.
Second by Alderman Wheeler. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. All right, moving on, the last thing, just to update you, today's been a wild day. I do have some more information that I'll get back with you about the next meeting about the arena floor. I did want to call that back to everyone's attention. We do have a project underway to level the arena floor. As we've all stated before, we know there's an oval there. It was originally designed to be a Western sports style arena. We believe that level on the floor will make the facility much more versatile. Y'all know that we have our volleyball program there now. We believe that with the level floor, we can accommodate both volleyball and still have some of the other multi-use versatility that we had before. So that project is very important to us. It was all approved in our parks expansion plan that we voted on last year. But anyway, we're getting close to starting that. Just want to keep that on your radar, and I'll have more information on that at the next meeting. Okay, that's all that I have this evening. Next is our citizens agenda. Ms. Burnett with the library, I'm sorry to say, is not feeling well. So she is called to cancel, so she won't be with us tonight. I did have a contact by a gentleman named Robert Estes, and he requested to speak on the agenda. So is Mr. Estes in the crowd? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
How y'all doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Well, it looks like we all, we're all Christians. We all said a prayer and we all lean on the Lord pretty heavy. I saw that a little while ago. I've lived in this area pretty much all my life. I'm a Christian. I believe in the power of prayer, just as y'all believe in the power of prayer. I do construction work. I know about road easements, utility right-of-ways, so on and so forth. I understand that we're a society and we have to be governed and we have to have laws that we have to follow. Safety is the #1 rule. But what I don't agree with is when I see the city coming in, Nazi Hitler, German style, tearing down religious organization signs. That could have been taken, it should have happened a complete different way. And if you don't agree with that, you're dead wrong in your tracks. I feel in my heart that any religious organization should have a phone call, because the religious organization did not purposely go out there and put the sign in the wrong place. They should have had a phone call and given 24 hours to move it, or they should have a letter put on the door with 24 hours to move it, and they should have an email sent to them with 24 hours to move it back within the legal limits. Or, as a city, as a Christian community, the man that tore it down could have had enough about him to simply move it back 4 or 5 foot. And that's what I have a problem with. I remember the days when I went to Vacation Bible School in Faulkner, Mississippi at Faulkner Baptist Church. And those were some of the greatest days of my childhood memories when I was, a small child. And I don't think that was handled in the appropriate way. And if tonight, I feel in my heart, if the city can't call the church, the religious organization, or leave a letter on the door, or send them an email, if we can't have that much compassion for our churches, because without the Lord we're nothing, well then every one of you need to get voted out. And I think that's what y'all should do, is give those people a chance, because the church, they're not out to hurt no one. They're here to help us. And without the Lord, we're no one. And that's what I have to say. Can y'all do something like that?
I can probably share some information with you. I don't disagree with a lot of what you're saying. I appreciate your stance on that. I think you'll find a lot of people in this room tonight that would agree with a lot of your comments. The only thing I want to clarify is that as a governmental entity, we have to administer our ordinances fairly and equally. Even though that we may share the same feelings that you do, we can't discriminate or make changes based on the content of the sign. So basically, we have to administer our sign ordinance uniformly for all. So And I get what you're saying, you know, that makes, you know, on the surface, that makes sense. Well, hey, why didn't you just put a letter out, you know, call the next day or pull the sign up and move it? But when you think about it from a big picture standpoint, and just being real straightforward and candid with you, we don't have enough manpower. We have 43 square miles of city. We have a lot of people that do violate the sign ordinance, so we do have code enforcement officers that stay busy doing that. And just not to be overly short with you, but basically we don't have the manpower to do that. And it's not that we are being disrespectful to the church. Again, we agree with, I personally agree with a lot of what you said. It just comes down to,
What do you not agree with?
I don't agree that it's practical or possible for us. We don't have the manpower to send a letter, come back again and again, you know, to get a sign.
I said one time, 24 hours, sir.
Right, yeah. I'm telling you that with 43 square miles of city, it's not practical for us to be able to do that with every sign that's placed in the right of way.
Well, that's not, I'm not talking about every sign, I'm talking about religious.
Well, what I'm telling you is we can't discriminate. What I'm telling you is we have to treat all signs the same. We can't give special treatment because it's a Christian sign or a Vacation Bible School sign. They all have to be treated the same way as a governmental entity, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
Now when you contacted me, you mentioned that you didn't like the so you're not questioning the ordinance. You're just asking if we take
yeah,
extra
that's
steps.
not, that's right, take an extra step. That's
Okay.
not right. You weren't raised to go do that. You weren't raised to do that. You weren't raised to act like that. None of y'all were raised to act like that.
Act like what? Please clarify what you're saying.
Go and tear the damn sign down.
Well, the sign is a violation of an ordinance, so.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
gotta.
we all swore, when we all got elected, we swore that we would enforce the ordinances of the city and the laws of the state of Mississippi and of our country. So all of us take that very, excuse me, just a second, let me finish what I'm saying. So all of us take that very seriously. It has nothing to do with how we were raised. We certainly value how we're raised, and you're gonna find, it's no secret, you're gonna have, I think everyone up here is a Christian. That's not the issue. The issue is when we were elected officials, we swore that we would uphold the laws of the City of Southaven, the state of Mississippi, and the United States of America. So we have to do that. So no one is discriminating against a church or Vacation Bible School or any other Christian organization. We have to administer the sign ordinance fairly and uniformly for all.
There was a little thing that I was taught, heart and compassion. You have to have heart and compassion. I'm not saying give anyone special treatment with the exception of the religious organization. We could have moved it back. Are we a Christian community? Yes or no? Answer that question for me. Are we a Christian community?
Are you asking me personally or there are other
Yes.
people in the room?
I'm asking you personally.
I believe the United States of America was founded on Christian values. Yes,
I
sir.
agree, but my question to you is Southaven, Mississippi a Christian community?
Yes, but what I'm telling you is that
Okay.
we have to administer our ordinances in a fair and uniform way.
Let's act like it then.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
Okay, I appreciate you coming forward. Have a good evening. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak on the citizens' agenda? Okay, we'll move on. Next on our agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the personnel docket as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update. Mr. McManley.
So a couple items tonight. The first two dealing with assessments that came up from previous condemned properties under 21-1911. These are the situations where well, one of them, they'd already paid the claim as a part of the settlement, and we got the other assessments in late, so we need to reimburse. Property parcel number is 105522130004000 and then 0000300. Reimburse those two property parcel numbers in the amount of $2,538. This is money that came to us through taxes as part of the assessment that they didn't get the notice because there had been a transaction as far as the closing. We didn't have to act that information. So tonight, approval of the amount of $2,538 reimbursement to those parcel numbers.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, a second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next one's same situation. House was sold, it wasn't reflected in the tax parcel, the tax assessor's office. So they didn't get the notice, but we wouldn't have the notice either. So they paid the tax in the amount of $3,403.96. So authorization to reimburse that amount for the parcel number 1078-2800-000500.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next is the authorization for a request under your rental policy for alcohol at the Greenbrook Lake Park on July 20, 2019. Laura Vanshill for her wedding. So tonight, it's been recommended by the Parks Department, so tonight authorization for the variance for alcohol on July 20, 2019 at the Greenbrook Lake Park.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries.
And last item, at the previous board meeting, we authorized sole source purchase in the amount of $12,015.54 from Allen Bradley Software from IAC Supply. Since that meeting, we've been informed, the Utilities Department was informed that we can actually get 3 years of the software for $13,752, which would save the city quite a bit of money. So tonight, we just need to amend that motion or authorize the sole source purchase of the Allen Bradley Software from IAC Supply in the amount of $13,752 for 3 years, as opposed to the 1 year for $12,015.54. Your resolution for the sole source will still stand. They'll just amend the amount by $1,700, which would be an extra 2 years, that's $1,700.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda, we have an old business item that was tabled at the last meeting. Ms. Whitney Cook is back as a couple planning, planning items.
Yes.
Make a motion on the table. See item.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Brooks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. It's off the table.
Okay, just a recap of the tabled item. It was a request to amend the text for Area 15, which is approximately 10 acres you see on the hard southeast corner of Nail and Getwell. Specifically associated with lots 2 and 3, but all encompassing 4 lots. The requests were, one, to amend the text where it says above retail uses as an area, for Area 15. Right now it requires the bottom floor must be used for office and commercial space only, second floor to be used for residential. The applicant would like the option to use both floors for all uses. The second request was a decrease in the minimum square footage of the lofts. Right now the lofts are set at 1,300 square foot minimums, which are 2-bedroom lofts only. They would like the option to take them down to studio and single bedroom ones, which range anywhere from the 600 to 1,000 square foot heated square footage. And their third request was an overall density increase from 2.3 for the overall site to 2.45. That change would increase the loft density for only Area 15 from 24 units to 65 units. Under the recommendation of staff, staff believed that the text amendments were a positive impact, were warranted, and we had recommended approval. The first one was based on allowing accessibility for ADA needs on bottom floors, also giving some flexibility to both the first and second floor. As of now, there is actually office space on the Lot 2, which is the existing building, which states that residential has to be on top, only commercial on the bottom. Some of that office space is not usable. We also believe there's a gap in the demographics of Southaven where young professionals or empty nesters don't have like somewhere to go besides a home with a yard. The loft and the studio one-bedroom apartments seem to be a trend with young professionals, as well as, like I said, with empty nesters who have no children, don't want the yard work anymore, want something smaller to maintain, and want to have accessibility to shopping, eating, things like that, some amenities. Number 3, it was also staff's recommendation that the increase in density also brings more energy to that commercial area and expands into the overall Snowden district, which is more pedestrian-friendly site. Under discussions with the Planning Commission, there were concerns as well as here concerning the percentage of commercial spacing on the property. So to further amend the argument from last time, or further define the arguments from last time, this is an overall PUD. Snowden Grove is a large PUD. It has commercial, it has office, it has single-family residential, it has 55 and up, and it also has areas specifically designated for mixed-use districts. This is being one of them. The other one is also located at Church and Getwell. Mixed-use districts can combine all those uses in one area. And I gave you a packet, or I gave you a pamphlet that I just got from the applicant. This is something they wanted submitted as part of their argument that you have handed out to you. And the things that they wanted to point out on this, as proposed, the new building, which would be the vacant one that's highlighted in red, this is going to be Lot 3. They're proposing a building to look almost identical to the existing building, which is where the Shop House, Lost Pizza, and all that is. It would, however, have less commercial on the bottom floor because they believe the need's not there for commercial since it doesn't have site visibility from the road. So there's a small portion in that one. But with that being said, they're looking at lots 2 and 3. If you were to look at that percentage-wise, lots 2 and 3 together combined would have 33% commercial and 67% residential. If you looked at the overall area for Area 15, which would also include the bank and the Levanter site, because that is the mixed-use district, actually the commercial would encompass 42%, and the residential would encompass 58%. So I know percentages was a big discussion last time. I know we tried to, or there was discussion to look at that building, the new building autonomously, and look at the Lot 2 autonomously, but in an effort to make it all cohesive and it being a comprehensive Area 15 development mixed-use district, these numbers come into play more. We did pull the PUD for Snowden, and you know, and a lot of times people get mixed up with what a PUD is versus a mixed-use district. They're not one and the same. PUDs are all over the city, and they can have nothing but single family. They can have nothing but office. They can itemize individual uses all over the place. This one specifically had that, but it also had what's called a mixed-use district in there, which lets you combine everything into one, and that's what Area 15 is. That is the argument at this point in time that they would like to propose to allow this secondary building with less, not all commercial on the bottom, a lot less commercial on the bottom, and also have the capability, if some of the site to the north is not capable to build out more commercial uses, to convert some of those into residential. So I know they're in the audience, and I'm here for any questions. They're here for any questions. I know there's been a lot of discussion. So our recommendation is to still go as with what was planned and what was submitted to us.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Wheeler to approve, second from Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Whitney, what percentage of the new building they're wanting to build will have commercial in it?
Right now, what they're showing, as they submitted to you, what you already have the documents on, was around 1,800, 1,900 square feet of the total building.
What percentage would that be?
If it's calculated correctly per their numbers, it's 5% and 95% residential. The other building was basically a 50-50. What they're asking to do is combine those two to get the numbers that you're asking for, since they're both, their ownership of both of those buildings, and they're developed together.
And it's a mixed use.
It is a mixed-use district, yes.
So if you're gonna compare apples to apples, that's the way to do it.
Correct. Well, I mean, I believe that it should, I believe not only looking at both lots 2 and 3, I think you should also bring in lots 1 and 4 as well. I mean, it's a district, and they called it a district, a mixed-use district, all-inclusive, so,
For all 4 lots.
correct.
But they don't own all 4 lots.
They don't own, but no, they don't own those 2 lots, so, and they broke it down as that, so with lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, as I said, 42% would be commercial, 58% would be residential. If you just take the 2 lots that they own, that they'll combine the lots, if that makes everybody feel a little bit better about the ownership of both, it still brings in 33% commercial and 67% residential.
Let's talk about that math for 1 second. So 50% commercial on the one building,
Mhm.
5% on the other.
Correct.
So that's 55% together, divided by 2 buildings, that's 27%, 27.5%.
Yeah, but if you take the 67,870 feet divided by 101,412 feet, you come up with 67%, 30.
I do not have a calculator with me, so I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not even gonna try to answer that.
So those numbers add up.
Anybody got a calculator?
I do not.
Everybody should.
If I may speak just a minute, I apologize to the board that I was not here when this initially came up for discussion. My oldest son, firstborn son, graduated from high school, and it was kind of an important night. But anyway, I apologize that I wasn't here. I did not know that discussion was going to occur. I've talked to several of the board members since then, been brought up to speed on the issue. But I want to point out just a few things, and certainly not disrespect any of the comments that were made at the last meeting or tonight. But I want to remind everyone of a few things that we've talked about in the past. When we talk about mixed use, the key thing I want to point out is mixed use was never intended. It seems like to me that the last meeting kind of got down a road of per building, like, what's commercial, what's retail, what's other commercial in the building. Never was a mixed use plan designed to be per building. It's always, like Whitney said, per district. So like the whole concept of Silo Square and also this area was to give Southaven something that we've never had before, an urban type living environment. As everyone knows, it's from DeSoto County, Mississippi. Other than maybe the squares, in Hernando Olive Ranch, you have a little area that's walkable, but we really don't have what's in demand in our country right now, which is an urban feel. And the reason that's important is a lot of people go to college, a lot of young adults when they get out of college, they're not married yet, they don't have kids yet, they don't want a yard, they want a place where they can have a place to live, they can walk to restaurants, they can walk to an entertainment venue, that kind of thing. So a lot of them leave. Like a lot of them go to Buckhead. Atlanta's a big entertainment area for young adults. Memphis has a component of that with Mud Island and Main Street. But Southaven and DeSoto County's never had that. And so when we compete on a national scale, not only with our young adults trying to keep them here, trying to keep talent here, not let them move away, we need to make our city and our county more conducive to that element. And I think that we're really lacking with that. That's why Silo Square is such a huge thing. With Silo, you're going to have the same thing. You're going to have mixed use. Mixed use is not an apartment complex. That's the other thing. Some comments have been made to me in the last week. Well, we don't want to have too many apartment complexes. Well, mixed use and a traditional apartment complex, two totally different animals. You're talking about smaller space in most situations for, like I said, young adults. You're talking about empty nesters, that don't want the yard anymore. So you're dealing with a different type of tenant. The other thing is the rents are higher. When you get into loft-style apartments like these, the rents are higher than your traditional apartment complex. So anyway, I say all that just to say, let's don't confuse the two because they're two totally different animals, from a planning standpoint and from, what's attractive or, unattractive for our city development. Last thing I would point out, so when you look at this, I would just encourage everyone, don't get wrapped up so much in the building itself, because regardless of which owners own it, in that district, all the tenants and the businesses complement each other. That's the beauty of mixed use, right? Because you have ready-made customers that live on site. So when you bring another building there with people living there, you've automatically brought new customers for the restaurants that are there. I think that there's an attorney there. There's obviously other office space there, Lost Pizza's there. So I think that it's important for our city that we develop with that urban feel, that we accommodate, as Whitney said, for that demographic that's now leaving us and going somewhere else. I think it's important that we, make this a walkable area, make it an urban feel, and it'll be a complement to Silo Square. So I tell you all that to say, I would be the first person opposing this if I thought it was something that would have a negative impact on any other business in the area or property values in general. I think it's totally a 180 the other way. I think that, bringing more customers there is going to make everyone better in that area. It's the same thought process that went into Overton Square in Memphis when that area was, just to give you a quick history lesson, I know I'm talking a lot, excuse me, but the Overton Square was a thriving area at one time. Then in the late 80s and 90s, it became like a ghost town. Well, then you had some investors that came back and they wanted to bring back Overton Square because it was such a classic part of Memphis. Well, so they start bringing more customers in, and that's what they want. They want mixed use. They want more customers there. Like in that area, you have a lot of older homes that are within walking distance to Overton Square. But y'all may have seen on the news where they were hoping that the dairy would move because the dairy is in a key location and occupies such a crucial piece of real estate in Overton Square. Well, if the dairy were not there, then we're going to go in and build apartments, mixed-use lifestyle apartments. Right. And the reason I want to do that because that, again, that brings ready-made customers to the other businesses in the area. So I think it's crucial, if we're trying to really make the Silo Square area and this Nail Getwell area a walkable urban feel. I think it's important that we, that we truly allow mixed use. And I think this would be an asset for our city.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the whole apartment complex scenario, I was the one that put forth a moratorium. We saw it as a negative. I don't feel like this is not a negative impact. At least that's my recommendation on it. That's my opinion on it. And like I said, we had concerns at the planning commission. They did discuss percentages. This building's spec, you can't predict that, and we don't want to hold them to it. The one thing we don't want to see is vacant office spaces and vacant commercial spaces. They're having trouble with the south side right now because it doesn't face Nail or Getwell. If you put that hindrance on the other building, we sit out there with vacancy, which is even worse. And it pulls everybody else away from the commercial district that we already have there. So again, I was the one who helped initiate the moratorium on the apartments. I get it, but this is not one of the same.
Does your recommendation still keeps Getwell and Nail frontage commercial?
Yes, I still like the idea of making sure that we hold true to the Nail and Getwell commercial.
Me too.
Me too. I agree.
Well,
And every single one of those new residents is economic multipliers to everything around there.
Yes.
To every restaurant, to every boutique that opens, to every single thing that we're doing over there.
Yeah, and I said last meeting, I live there, so I can tell you that the demand is very, very high. I get asked.
There's a waiting list
once
for
a
the current
month,
building, isn't there?
at least, from random people. Are there any openings? Are there any openings? And I sadly, no, there's not. But
And not everybody wants to be on the second floor.
They don't.
Well, I hate to be the negative whatever, but I'm not a big fan of these type of things. I believe if he was going to keep the feeling of what we started with these things and have some commercial or office space on the bottom floor would be one thing. But he'd be perfectly happy with nothing there, nothing, just straight lofts. So like I said before, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So, we can say it's not an apartment complex, we can call it a loft, we can call it whatever we want to call it. But the people I represent, and I've talked to quite a few other people who are developers and stuff, and they told me they thought it was a bad idea too. So I'll be voting no tonight.
That's fine.
I agree with Charlie in a lot of aspects. There are a lot of good things to this apartment. To these mixed-use development. The building that they're planning on building, it looks great. It really does. It fits in well. I don't think, how many apartment buildings is it going to be?
It's one.
No. But how many total units are there going to be?
38.
So 38's not gonna bring crime in or anything like that. Having said all that though, I am concerned about having a building with 5% use, which actually went down from last week because we were told it was gonna be 10% last week. But it's down to 5% this week. Use. I've spent a lot of sleepless nights since last meeting trying to find out information about this from different people. I do have some mixed feelings about it, but I just think we should require a little more than even 10% on the bottom floor. So that's where I'm at, but, you know, I respect everybody else's opinion. So, you know, let's get the voting out.
Is there any other discussion? Alderman Payne, do you have any comments?
I do not at the moment.
Okay. Any other discussion? We had back, as a reminder, we had a motion to approve by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Or was it reversed?
Reversed.
Okay, Alderman Wheeler made a motion to approve. Alderman Flores seconded that motion. Without any other discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
No.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
No.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Is that the only thing?
Without, we had went ahead and tabled the design review. Last time, since this was tabled, we couldn't discuss a building that didn't exist. So the next item we have on the agenda is on the old business too. It is the actual design review report for that building. And not to simplify it, but as you're going to see, it looks just like the other building, with the only exception is around the back where you would have parking associated with the residents. On the back side, it is now a courtyard area with a track, gated in with wrought iron fencing, just a greenery area. It's got sitting areas and grilling areas for the residents for use of them only. We did put a fire lane down that east side. There's an existing berm that we're going to keep there and a heavy planting line along the south and east border for the single-family residential. But otherwise, what you're seeing there is what's already out on site with the chop house building. Obviously, we made some additions to the lighting and made some additions to the landscape. All was agreed to by the applicants. We're recommending approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
No.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is our utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the utility bill adjustment docket in the amount of $1,717.76 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our two claims dockets. Is there a motion to approve docket 1?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number 1, the amount of $1,414,548.98 to include demand checks.
Second.
On docket 1, we have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Is there a motion to approve docket 2?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve docket number 2, the amount of $333,265.54.
Second.
On docket 2, we have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Gallagher.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
That motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda, is there a motion to determine the need for executive session? We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Gallagher. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is litigation against the Southaven Police Department and Southaven Fire Department, the purchase and sale of property, personnel in the Southaven Police Department, and potential economic development with potential new business locating to the city of Southaven. So is there a motion to declare executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Kelly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.